This is Tony Barnes with Tear, the App Inventor repository, and I would like to welcome you to our tutorial on creating a soundboard. This video tutorial is a companion to our tutorial on the Tear site under Tear, TAIR.info/fac/how-to-s/soundboard SOUNDBOARD, and this video will also be linked from that page. If you missed the link will be posted at the end of the tutorial. For this project, we're going to be using the following components from the designer: 5 horizontal arrangements with width set to fill parent and height set to automatic, 5 empty labels with the width set to 10 pixels and the height set to automatic, 5 empty labels with the width set to fill parent and the height set to 10 pixels, 10 buttons to play the sounds with the width set to 150 pixels and the height set to 70 pixels. We'll also need 10 sounds that we're going to be playing with the buttons. We'll need a clock to time the background color changes on the buttons, and this step is optional. If you don't want the background color to change, you can leave that out. And of course, we need a player to play the sounds. Step 1 in this how-to, you open up a new project. Under My Projects, you select New, and when the screen comes up, you'll want to edit the Screen 1 properties. You'll want to set the background color to dark gray. Go ahead and check the scrollable box in case you want to add buttons later that scroll off of the screen, and set the title to My Soundboard. In step 2 of the how-to, we're going to add the 10 media files to the project. You go to the media part of the designer and then click on Add. Then you browse for your media and add them to the project. Step 3 is adding the rows of buttons to play the sound files. To accomplish this, you're going to add a horizontal arrangement to the screen. You'll set the width to fill parent and leave the height to auto. You'll add a button to the horizontal arrangement, rename it to Sound 1 button, set the width of the button to 150 pixels and the height of the button to 70 pixels, and set the button text to correspond with the file you are going to play. To the right of that button, add a label and set the width to 10 pixels. This label is just used as a spacer to put a little bit of spacing between the two buttons to make the presentation a little bit nicer. After you add the spacer, you'll add a second button to the right of the spacer label in the horizontal arrangement. Rename that button to Sound 2 button and set the width to 150 pixels and the height to 70 pixels. Set the text of this button to correspond with the next file that you are going to play. Underneath the horizontal arrangement, you'll add a spacer label to put some space between the rows, and you'll set the height of that label to 10 pixels and set the width to fill parent. Your screen should look similar to this. Repeat step 3, building out the next 4 rows. Remember to increment the name of the sound button, and don't forget the spacer label between the horizontal arrangements. You should end up with a screen similar to this. In step 4 of this how-to, we will be adding a clock component. Leave the defaults, and this component is an optional component which is used for making the blinking button effect on the buttons. Step 5 of this how-to is adding a player component. You will want to leave the defaults, and don't confuse this with the sound component, which is limited to playing short files. The player component can play longer files. You're now finished with the designer. Go ahead and open up the blocks editor. In step 6 of this how-to, since all of our button clicks are virtually the same code, we're going to create a little template to make our coding go a little bit faster. So drag an if block out to your canvas, and then in the then do portion of the if block, drag a player1.source set to, and put text as the first name of the file that you're going to play. Then drag out a call player1 start and place that right under player1 source. And then drag out a player1.vibrate and set the milliseconds to a number equal to 30. Then after you do all that, you can just click on the if block, hit Control C, and that will copy the entire if block, including the components under the then do. And then hit Control V 9 times to make 10 copies of that if block. Step 7 of this how-to is just very simple. You just drag out a button click event for each button and place it on the canvas. Step 8 of this how-to is creating the button click events. Drag the code under one of the if block then do statements up to your first button click, and that should complete the code for that first button click. Repeat that process for the second through the 10th button clicks, and remember to change the text of the player1.source to the name of the MP3 that you want to play. Step 9 for this how-to is optional, and it's just included for visual presentation only. It's how to create the button blink effect for the buttons. If you want to add this effect to your project, it's pretty simple. All you'll need to do is add set the button background color to each set button click, and you'll want to set that background color to black. And then after you get through adding that to each button, you'll want to program the timer to set it back to gray. So you just set the sound button background color back to gray, and that's all there is to it. When you click the button, it sets the background to black, and after the timer fires, it sets the color back to the normal color. So now you've pretty much got a fully functional program, and this is how it works. When you click on one of the sound buttons, it sets the source for the sound and then starts the player. It also vibrates the phone for 30 milliseconds, and if you did the optional part, the background color of the button will change to black and then change back to normal by itself. And you can get the code for this project off of the Terra Code project site at the URL provided below this screen, and we hope you enjoy this tutorial. Thank you.